Hey, welcome to Film Fanatics. My name is Dan.
My name is Justin.
And I'm Joe.
This week we learn what our pets do when we leave them. Zac Efron and Adam Devine look for wedding dates. Daniel Radcliffe farts his way into our hearts in Swiss Army Man. And Paul Rudd heads up the latest Netflix original film. First up, though, we're going to talk about The Secret Life of Pets. This broke records in its opening weekend. Over $100 million, the highest for an original animated film. So, Joe, let's hear about The Secret Life.
Yeah, quite a surprise, actually. But Pets is an animated family comedy from Illumination Entertainment and features some voice talents of people we know. Louis C.K., Eric Stonestreet. Also, you got Kevin Hart, Lake Bell, Jenny Slate, and Albert Brooks.
Of course,
not
great.
as a fish this time. So, like recent Brooks, it's the year of Brooks again for like the fifth year in a row.
Well, most years are,
I guess. But yes, it stars this terrier named Max, who's voiced by C.K., and who lives this quiet life that is upheaved when his owner takes in Duke, a stray whom Max instantly dislikes, who is voiced by Stonestreet. Now, when the two rivals become lost in New York, many of their friends, comprised of local pets, go off on a journey to save them. Now, this one I wasn't sure what to think about going in. I just thought it might be just another throwaway, kids comedy. But, I was surprised. I thought it was pretty well animated. I think visually it was pleasing to look at for the most part. There were some funny jokes about relating to pet humor. Beyond that, the story is pretty simple and standard, nothing really groundbreaking, but there's nothing really wrong with it. I thought it was a pretty enjoyable time, pretty solid kids movie. I'd watch it again.
All right. I didn't actually care for it.
Really?
This was kind of like the Angry Birds for me. Aside from the fact that basically it's just Toy Story 1 and 2 put together. Because first you have the pets, what do the pets do when you go away? And then you have the journey to find the lost pets because a new pet emerged and, threw everything into chaos. I just didn't think it was that amusing. The animation's okay. Illumination is not your best studio. I think the Despicable Me movies are animated all right. As an aside, that Minion short at the beginning was terrible.
Was not a fan, no.
Well, I'll expand on that a little because I didn't like the Minion short that much anyway, but it annoyed me a bit more when their logo came up and there was yet another Minion screaming about Illumination right afterwards. Yeah. You just get tired of Minions so quick. I do
get tired of them.
Yeah.
I think there is some good voice work. I think Jenny Slate does a great job, as always. Louis C.K. is good. I got the most laughs out of Kevin Hart. Typical for me, I suppose. He's, doing his Hart shtick.
Yeah.
I think it's super dark for young kids.
Some
kids want to go see a movie about the pets, and there's like a bunch of murders, and there's a lot of side
I don't know what you mean, Dan.
Involving dropping full-on structures on certain animals and killing them. So, there's dark humor there. I think there's some light humor to be gleaned from the pets' antics in the beginning, the adults first leave. But I don't think they're, adding anything new to it. Like, cats like to chase lasers. We already did that.
Puss in Boots,
And Puss in Boots, How to Train Your Dragon,
I will admit it's kind of, I thought, a little bit of misadvertising in a way because I thought the idea they were going to really push was a lot of the pet-based comedy, which is really only a small part of it.
It really wasn't, yeah.
There's other adventure story, which you said is more like Toy Story, just kind of delves away from the real hook of the movie. Which I thought was kind of a shame,
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I think there was more to go there. But I mean, a long line of talking animal movies where, let's be honest, there's been some really, really bad ones in recent years. The Nut Job probably being
infamous,
the easiest go-to. You can do a lot worse than Pets. Maybe that's me being merciful. I don't know. I also don't know if this is Louis C.K. actually wanting to do an animated movie or just trying to do something that his kids can see instead of showing him his super R-rated stand-up. I love his stand-up, but obviously not family-friendly. But I think he does an okay job. But I think it's just your standard performance from him. I think really the big standouts are Jenny Slate and Lake Bell for me. I thought Bell in particular.
Yeah, I didn't know that was Lake Bell until the credits, to be honest. I mean, we've already talked about how she's sort of the master of different accents and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But, I had no idea that was her. So, yeah, you're right. She does a good job.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are bringing up Jenny Slate because I wasn't really as aware of her originally. But, I think that her character is probably my favorite in the movie.
True.
Show. And not just because it's an adorable little Pomeranian, of course, but I honestly thought she had the best arc and Was the best character to get behind. And
Yeah, I think
Pretty
she's
much,
the
yeah.
best character in the whole movie.
like I thought her story of trying to save Max was more interesting than Max himself, and
Right.
you know, his whole predictable story, which you know how it was going to resolve.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, easily.
And the really bizarre sausage party.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what happened there.
I don't get that at all. It was straight out of like, I don't know. You know, it was just so bizarre.
It was
I thought
weird.
it was a dream sequence, but then it turned out it wasn't.
It's a factory
Except
tour.
it was, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. But no, I think it's safe. But one thing I did really like about it is, I think the actors did a very good job of committing to the fact that they're playing animals. Like the animals themselves are not that likable at times, but they play it instinctively. Like, okay, Louis C.K.'s character is very territorial, which makes him kind of a jerk very early on in the movie. But he plays it off, and it kind of works. In regards to the whole dark thing, I agree with you, but I also would counter by saying it sort of does the Toy Story 3 thing where it gets dark, but they'll try and, like, compensate with some sort of lighthearted joke in the middle of it.
Yeah, those people did die though.
Oh, yeah. But
Well,
then they,
Nobody in Toy Story 3 actually died. Spoilers.
there's no body count in a G-rated movie,
You thought they were, but
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't.
fair.
I mean, here people actually
Dan,
do die.
since we're bringing up this comparison a lot anyway, in Toy Story 3, that one particular scene is darker than anything in the Life of Pets movie.
Oh,
True.
You know, and that was G, right?
And that should
Yes.
have been PG-13.
I mean,
I will contend that till the day I die.
So, I mean, you know,
Toy Story 3 should have been PG-13.
it was pretty traumatizing.
It was very traumatizing for
PG-13
adults and children
for a
alike.
scene of what strong
For a
thematic
scene of
elements.
strong
Oh, yeah.
cartoon
And peril.
violence. Yeah, and peril. Look, I'm not saying every animated movie has to be just, you know, super light. Obviously, this doesn't really have a lot of substance message-wise. I mean, it's not Pixar.
No.
But this movie just is just nothing but gags. The story's so basic.
You bring up an interesting point that I don't want us to get too off track, but it's an interesting question. Do you guys think that a movie could be darker and more violent if it has more substance? Does that give it more of a right to be?
I think it varies from movie to movie, but I think if there's justification for it, absolutely.
I think Pixar is sort of the, you know, be-all and end-all for that. But I think there's definitely some violent scenes in some other movies that we've watched for the show. You know, Joe, obviously, Hunchback being the prime example. But I mean, you know, the How to Train Your Dragon movies get quite dark.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's okay. And that's, you know, a different studio as well.
Because it's a better movie, is what you're saying.
These are better movies. Well, yeah, because they're written better and, you know,
Maybe
I don't
it
know.
pulls it off a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, also, I don't know. You care about the characters a little more, I think, in those movies.
I agree.
As you do in these.
Definitely.
I also thought that the soundtrack was completely uninspired.
Hey, System of a Down, man. You know.
Okay, the System of a Down song aside.
That was a joke. That was a good joke.
You had
Generic.
You're My
New York
Best Friend, Welcome to New York, which, Joe, you didn't see it, but they already did that in How to Be Single 4 months ago.
Oh.
So that was the lead song in that. That's the lead song in this.
Timeline appropriate for the scene.
You know, it's going to be a bright sunshine day. Like, these are just all the most basic songs.
I guess they're trying to be a safe soundtrack for the kids.
Safe soundtrack
No.
for safe.
Except for System of a Down.
Except for System of a Down.
I don't get the hook.
Yeah, I just this wasn't a great one for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, all right. You guys talked me down a little bit, but I still thought it was pretty good.
It's fine.
It's a B minus for me.
Yeah, it's actually a C for me.
Okay.
And B minus as well.
Maybe a little better than Angry Birds. I think maybe I give that a C minus.
See, I liked Angry Birds too.
You did like Angry Birds too. I thought actually that might be the
that
case
was
with
rough.
those.
Maybe it's
That was
because
really
I
rough.
had no attachment to the games. Maybe made it
Maybe.
easy. I don't know. I can't.
I kind of liked the game interplay though.
You liked
in
those
Angry
parts
Birds.
towards the end. Yeah.
One of the few things I did like. All right, well, up next is Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. And in this, Zac Efron and Adam Devine played Dave and Mike Stengel, whose immature antics regularly ruin family functions. Now it's time for little sis to get married in Hawaii, and their parents force the brothers to bring dates so they don't end up sleeping with random guests like they usually do. Meanwhile, best friends Tatiana and Alice, played by Aubrey Plaza and Anna Kendrick, are down on their luck and see Dave and Mike's story on TV and decide to act like respectable ladies just to get a free trip to Hawaii. And from there, the typical hijinks ensue. Now, there's a crude joke in the movie you guys may remember, in which Plaza's character is going, she's posing as a teacher. They're whispering to Adam Devine about grading each other, and the gag is that he's going to give her a D. Well, they read my mind, because it's about the territory of this movie.
Sounds about right.
I think this is the latest in a long list of movies this year for R-rated comedies that just aren't funny. The Boss, Brothers Grimsby, Dirty Grandpa starring Efron himself. I'm not sure whether these movies are trying so hard to be outrageous they forget to put jokes in, or what exactly it is, but the movie is just unpleasant. Nobody's really likable, including,
no.
I mean, even the bride is unlikable. Their sister, the parents are unlikable. So I'm not sure why we're supposed to be laughing. And I think I've turned on Efron. I think he should stick to musicals and dramas, because I don't think the comedy is working for him.
I actually kind of like him in dramas, yeah.
He's okay in Neighbors, but, like, that's because his surrounding people are great in Neighbors.
Yeah.
You know? He doesn't have the comedy chops with... I mean, Adam Devine's okay.
I thought
but,
Devine
like,
was better than him in this, to be honest.
he's the best part of the movie. Well, from the guys. Plaza, I guess, is probably the best on the girls.
Well, yeah, she's funny, kind of. Sort of.
It's sort of. But her
of.
character's so horrible.
Not the...
No, Kendrick's character's better than Plaza's.
Yeah, she's
for
better.
sure.
That's true.
Also, I thought we were going to get away with not seeing Efron shirtless, but...
No, they had to do it.
And then I thought we were going to get away with Kendrick not singing. We had that, too.
Come on, man. These are some basic things. He's got to take his shirt off. She's got to sing.
Yes,
you should have known that
know.
from
When you have two Pitch Perfect alums, I mean...
yeah, true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where I stand on it. What'd you guys think of it?
All right, Justin wants me to go because it's a comedy. Yeah, I got you. No. Well, I think...
If I hated it, imagine.
Well, I suspect that I probably liked it more than you. I mean, I will admit that the humor was pretty dumb and basic, but I found myself laughing.
I laughed a little bit. Don't get me wrong.
Like, I laughed, and I kind of wanted to see where the
But not
story
a
went.
lot.
Like, all right, I thought that... Okay, probably the biggest issue with it for me is that the characters are all pretty unlikable for the most part. But I did like the way they kind of developed, at least a
couple of them.
The guys primarily. Like, the girls do go through something. Aubrey Plaza just kind of like suddenly has this moral. This is like, man, like...
We're not being good people here.
I'm like, all right, well, at least you developed her, but it wasn't smooth
At
all. But whatever. I mean, she's fine. But, yeah, the one thing that was amazing to me, though, is that how much they managed to do to try and make everybody unlikable. And you want to look at it, like you said, from their parents' perspectives, but they're horrible people to their kids. So
I think so, too, yeah.
Like his dad said some horrible things. I'm like, well, why should they be, do anything for their parents?
Yeah.
And I did honestly think Adam Devine's character was the funniest and probably, like, the best person, except this one scene, where, he basically almost destroys his sister's wedding by almost murdering her and ruins her face, and instead of
he has a
sorry
plot
at all,
to murder his cousin.
He just makes fun of her for it, even though he's the one that almost disfigured his sister and killed her. And I'm like, this one scene just almost made the character irredeemable. I guess he's dumb, so we give it a pass. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought it was okay, kind of funny, but nothing mind blowing.
All right.
Yeah. This is just another one of those movies where it looks like everybody was filming it, had a blast, and I just wish we could have been along for the ride. Because
they were in Hawaii. Why not?
Exactly, but
another actor vacation.
Yeah, sadly, we do not have that luxury, and I guess audiences are literally paying them for their vacation. Ooh. But no. I'll be honest with you, gentlemen. I have never gotten the fascination with Adam Devine. I think he's incredibly overrated. I think he's obnoxious.
That is funny.
I think he's kind of fun, but it depends on the project. I'm split on it, because I agree with that sentiment sometimes.
And I just feel like he's constantly like trying to find ways to please everybody and ends up pleasing nobody. And I think this is a textbook example of that.
What else has he done? Remind me.
Pitch Perfect, Final
Pitch
Girls.
Perfect, of course. Okay. What did you say?
Final Girls.
Oh, yeah, he was in Final Girls. Workaholics is his main thing, the Comedy Central show. That's like where he really, jumped off. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I do think that he has okay chemistry with Zac Efron, even though they're playing more or less despicable characters. But for me, it's not necessarily that. It's the fact that they're playing this quasi-true story, I'm glad they're at least honest about that to varying degrees. The plot holes in this movie are nearly endless. And it just gets worse as it goes along in that regards.
Well, I think it's sort of based on real people rather than real situations. Kind of like Van Wilder.
It's something that happens.
It's like,
But-
the people exist and they do, weird things that get them in trouble, etc., but not necessarily the things in this movie. You know what I mean?
No, I follow you. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, gentlemen. There were some scenes in here I definitely did find funny, but there's so few and very, very far between, leading to a bunch of really forced scenes of humor and supposed character development that, as you both mentioned, sort of happens on the turn of a dime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not the worst thing I've seen this summer, but it's not good. It's really not good.
Ooh.
And, I mean, I'm hoping I can come around on Divine at some point, but this is not the movie to do it.
The Intern, Joe, he was in that too.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he was one of the
yeah.
the people in the office.
Gotcha.
That was one of his better roles.
I liked him in that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did laugh. I got 2, real good laughs, and then a
Chuckles?
few, not even chuckles, a few,
This is my
okay. But, yeah, it was very disappointing. I was really looking forward to it. I thought from the trailers it looked pretty funny. I like these people.
Mm-hmm.
The general concept sounds really funny. But the
Yeah, it
execution
does.
is all over the place.
Yeah, it did not do it for me. Joe, what's your grade on it?
Well, I thought it was okay. I leave it with the C-.
All right. Yeah, it's a D+ for me, but just on that border.
C-.
Oh, really?
Huh?
Justin liked it more than me.
Well, he laughed a couple times.
There were a couple of good jokes here,
I think the actors were, trying.
to varying degrees.
Yeah, they were okay. I don't know if I think the chemistry was great between Divine and Efron. For people who are apparently siblings their whole life, I don't know.
Best friends, maybe.
More like best friends, like Plaza's and Kendrick's chemistry. All right, Justin. Well, Joe did not get to see this one, but let's hear about Swiss Army Man.
All right. Swiss Army Man, otherwise known to some as the Daniel Radcliffe farting corpse movie, focuses on a character by the name of Hank, played by Paul Dano, being stranded on a desert island and truly only wanting a friend to go on living. His wish gets granted in Manny, played by Daniel Radcliffe, a corpse with, shall we say, more than a few talents to his credit, and the two begin a journey to find their way back into society. Mary Elizabeth Winstead has a supporting role. Listeners, never since we reviewed the movie Frank way back when, have I found a film that can be classified in so many different ways. On the surface, this sounds like really lowbrow comedy, but there's also a story about identity here. There's a story about what does it mean to live life to the fullest. There's a lot going on, and I think some audiences are going to be willing to embrace that, and others not so much. Now, to play devil's advocate, not everything here works. Some of the crosscuts are a little chaotic. It does a lot of experimental stuff. Magical realism is kind of a blessing and a curse, and the ending will kind of give a lot of people whiplash, I would argue. But for the most part, it's fun with its complete lunacy, and my best advice is let it just sort of come naturally. And I think the more you sort of embrace the chaos in segments, the more it's easier to dissect it, start thinking about what they're trying to say, how it's coming together. I think the camaraderie between Dano and Radcliffe is actually really good. They both are completely committed to the absolute insanity in every sense of the word, even when it gets flat out ridiculous at times. But I think for the most part, it's a very original movie, for better or for worse. And I think it's worth it in that regard. Is it perfect? No, but there's got to be something to be said for its originality.
Oh, it's extremely original. I mean, I've never seen anything else like it. Frank is probably a good example. These are the kind of quirky movies, I guess you could say, that I really do like. There's a lot of talk about how, not so much anymore, but certainly in the first couple of years of the show, that I don't really like these kind of, think pieces or whatever, Mr. Nobodies or
right.
Last week's Neon Demon, for example. But
yeah.
These movies don't have anything to say. They have a couple things to say, but I think they miss the mark. Movies like Swiss Army Man and Frank and, I don't know, Wes Anderson movies for that matter. I think,
Sure.
Have something original about them, and it's not just let's have a weirdo angle or this or that. The Lobster's another great example. That's actually what I was thinking about this movie.
That's fair.
That's a great example, Joe. It's not just quirky angles and shots and quote unquote characters. I mean, yeah, the characters here are quirky, but there's so many different layers to what's happening in this movie, like Justin said. Daniel Radcliffe is fantastic as the corpse. I think he really, I think this kid really is going to have a future far beyond Harry Potter. This is the first movie that I've really seen that I can say that about. He was okay in what was the Burroughs movie? No. Horns.
No.
Horns was pretty decent.
Horns was okay. Peculiar Darlings. Yeah, he was good in that. But he really showcased a lot in this movie.
His accent stays consistent.
His accent is much more consistent than I can say for some of his fellow Potter mates.
That's true.
I have really mixed emotions about the conclusion, though. That for me was the only real part where I was like, okay, I don't know how to feel about this, because they make you feel certain ways about the protagonist that maybe
make you wonder who you've been following.
Well, yeah, it sort of negates maybe what you've been thinking. I don't know. So I didn't like that. The movie has some of the worst remote control crotches I've ever seen. That was horrible.
That was frightening.
I get it, they don't have a great budget, but that was just pathetic.
Yeah.
But you've really got to be in the mood for this movie.
Oh yeah.
And you'll either be on board or you won't. And for me, I was both. I was both in the mood and on board. I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's a fun time if you let it happen. But
yeah, I laughed a lot in this movie.
As did I. I think sometimes the chaos sort of sputters out of control, but I think for the most part it's an enjoyable ride.
Well, I don't like fart humor. And so when I heard the basic concept, I thought, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. But they find a very clever way about 10, 15 minutes after we meet Radcliffe's character to sort of subside the farting for a while. And, it's a good joke, so I'm not going to give it away. But that was clever, so I sort of was like, okay, now I don't have to focus on the gross out humor factor and just sort of enjoy the movie for what it is. Yeah, I thought it was funny. A lot of it doesn't make sense.
No.
And I don't even mean, the corpse doing stuff. I just mean, I don't know, they get
what's exactly going on?
Well, they get kind of attacked by a bear at one point, but then, we don't see an animal for, they travel on, miles in the woods, and we don't see another animal.
Yeah.
But yet we see, remnants of, maybe college parties. There's, red Solo cups that we run into. So just, the logistics of that kind of didn't make sense, but it's a movie that doesn't make sense, so I guess it is humor. Yeah, I guess it is what it is, but... no, I really enjoyed this. It's an A-.
B+.
I actually like this, Joe, a little bit more than The Lobster. So, all right, well, let's go back to you and talk about the fundamentals of caring.
Or, as I like to call it, the fundamentals of Rudd.
Yeah, true.
It really is.
Equally appropriate title.
I think so. Well, this is a drama that is directed by Rob Burnett. I don't know if you guys know him of anything.
He's part of Dave Letterman's team.
Okay.
Oh, really?
People, yeah.
Very well. And it's based on a 2012 novel by Jonathan Ivinson. Stars Paul Rudd in the main role, and also Craig Roberts and the dreaded Selena Gomez.
True.
Now, a man, played by Paul Rudd, suffering from an incredible amount of loss after losing his son and a divorce soon on the horizon, enrolls in a class about caregiving that changes his perspective on life. Now, his first client is this wheelchair-bound youth, played by Roberts, with a depressing outlook and a snarky attitude, dark sense of humor, I guess we can say. Now, in an attempt to get him to enjoy his life more, the two embark on a road trip and bond along the way. Now, this type of story has been done to death, and I couldn't help thinking we even watched something very similar recently, which is
a couple of weeks ago
with Miss Game of Thrones.
Me Before You,
Me Before You, which is a romance, but other than that, more or less the same kind of thing. Similar disease and everything. This time, the bond is more of a mentor and father figure thing rather than a romantic interest, but, we've done it. So this type of story has been done a lot, and it's pretty basic stuff, and most of it's pretty predictable, and it wears its ideas on its sleeves. But that's not really necessarily a bad thing. The main message isn't hard to figure out, and the multiple storylines are resolved pretty well. It's fine, but it doesn't really push the envelope at all. What gives it the most heart, though, is of course Rudd, who does give a very good performance.
As usual.
And really grounds the film and makes it a little better than it probably could have been. Now I'm curious to what you guys say.
Yeah, I think it's funny you mentioned Me Before You, because I feel like there is like this niche genre now of like caretaker helps handicapped person live their life. And it's like, you know, this one is in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better than Me Before You, not nearly as good as Intouchables
That's the one.
or The Sessions.
Ooh, The Sessions.
You know, another one. But I do agree that the chemistry between Rudd and Roberts is great. Mm-hmm. And Rudd is just so likable.
Yeah.
He's one of these guys that you can stick him in a pretty mediocre movie like, say, A Wanderlust or An Overnight Delivery, and he really elevates the material because he's so funny just by him being him.
He's also very down to earth and, you know, believable.
You're right. He's the kind of guy that you could.
He's an everyman.
You could meet him out at the bar and, hey, Paul, you know, let's have a drink.
I dare say he's kind of like a Hanks. You could put him in anything and he elevates it.
True.
You know,
true. I'm not going to say he's quite as talented as Hanks, but I don't think that's what you were insinuating.
No.
So yeah, I'm with you. I feel like I liked it, but it wasn't breaking any new ground. It hits all the generic beats.
I feel like we've all seen movies that are basically the same that have done it much better.
Yes. Well, you know my big problem.
Miss Gomez?
Hey,
you know what? She wasn't god-awful.
She wasn't. And here's the thing. I actually don't think Selena Gomez is a bad actress, but she has to stay in her wheelhouse. I really wish she would stop trying to be a badass and like break free from the Disney stuff and just kind of do the stuff that she was raised to do.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, kind of like Efron, I guess, in a way. I mean, he grew up with the High School Musical and stuff. You know, she, you know, oh, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, I'm bad. Like, it's just
we're not buying it.
Yeah, like
I buy that she's a Selena Gomez type trying to be bad,
right.
Which kind of works for the movie, I guess.
Well,
but...
and she still looks like she's 13, so it's like
I'm 21.
It's even more awkward, right? Yeah. So,
listeners, some things are inevitable. Director Paul Greengrass will never hold the camera straight. Samuel L. Jackson will yell at people. Film Fanatics will cover at least one indie road trip comedy or drama, for that matter, in a season. Now, to its credit, this is genuine fluff, but it's pretty entertaining fluff, and I think that's largely because Rudd and Roberts have really, really good chemistry. Admittedly, I think it takes a good 15-20 minutes to sort of get there, but I think once we're there, it's a pretty fun ride. The humor flows pretty organically. Gomez, when we're comparing it to, I guess the only other one I've seen from her that's a big role, I guess, would be Spring Breakers, which...
You're forgetting the other one from that same summer.
Don't forget. Hawk.
Oh, lest we forget Getaway. Yes, indeed. But in comparison to those movies, this is huge improvement, but the bad girl motif needs to go away.
Right, but she's still trying to be the bad girl. Like, yes, the movie's better, the script is better,
indeed,
her characterization's better, but she's still trying way too hard. Like, she shouldn't be in this movie.
No.
You know...
The character's written fine the way she is, but she shouldn't be played by Gomez.
The only reason it kind of works is because, like I said, she's trying to act like a badass, but you don't buy it, so you can believe that she's someone trying to be a badass, which is kind of like the character.
I suppose in that respect,
they find a way to sort of compensate it by, like, having this whole coming-of-age thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, she's being this bad girl, but she's got a softer side.
That's why it didn't bother me too much.
For a really bizarre Bobby Cannavale cameo.
Which wasn't crazy about that either. But
me neither.
I do want to ask you guys, did you think that with... I think the story was pretty solid in and of itself. Did we need the pregnant lady to emphasize the whole dad thing for like the fifth time?
No.
Like, I thought she was kind of...
It was a little forced.
That whole birthing thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think it worked all right for the characters. It certainly gave Roberts a reason to seem more chivalrous. Yeah. But, you know, no, did we necessarily need her? Probably not.
like I said, that's pretty much how I feel. Like it worked pretty well for what it was, but I think we can all agree we've seen better, the exact same story, more or less.
Yes, yeah, very true. All right, well, what's your grade, Joe?
It was pretty good. I leave it with a B.
All right, yeah, it's a B for me as well.
No arguments here.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show. Next week we have one of the most talked about films of the last year, Ghostbusters, finally hitting theaters. So we'll see how that one grabs us. And of course, we have our Star Trek reviews here on our channel as well, and you can subscribe to it and join the Facebook group Film Fanatics with an exclamation point, and the Twitter feed is at Film Fanatics Pod. And Joe, what is your Twitter feed for your channel?
Merlin Reviews.
At Merlin Reviews. Okay. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.